Hi, everyone. Happy Monday. I've got my dog next to me today. He's my little dog, Finn. He wanted to join us. Hi, everyone. If you haven't met me before, welcome. So glad to have you here. My name, as it says on the screen, is Deborah Lee Smith, and I am an actor, filmmaker, and mental health advocate located in Los Angeles. And as I said, my dog is right next to me today. Whoop, here we go. And his name is Phineas. Let me know how everyone is doing today. Give me some thumbs up, thumbs down, sideways thumbs. I've got a little bit of a cold, as you guys can potentially hear. But I wanted to make sure that I still came on and checked in with everyone today. Oh, you can't hear me? Interesting. Let me just check this. Can you guys hear me now? Let's see. Can you hear me now, Jason? Thanks for letting me know. Oh, you can hear me. Okay, great. Thanks, Trisha. Oh, great. Okay, awesome. So Jason, maybe just check and make sure that your computer is not muted. Hi, Rick. Hello, everyone. It's so wonderful to see everyone today. As I said, why don't you guys do a little check-in with me? Let me know how you're doing. Thumbs up, thumbs sideways, thumbs down. If you've never done one of these with me before, I really like to have them as interactive as possible. And so this all starts with you. And I want to know how everyone is doing, and then we can have a conversation around that. So thank you, everyone. So we've got 2 thumbs down here from both Brittany and Allie. If you guys want to elaborate, feel free. This is a safe space, and I always appreciate whenever people, share what's going on in their lives. Crystal, thank you so much for sharing with everyone that you're feeling super anxious right now. If you would like to elaborate, we are here for you. I think that I'm certainly feeling a little bit anxious right now. I don't know how everyone did as we got through the holidays. How was everyone's holidays? Because I think that I know for myself, the holidays were actually quite difficult this year, and for several different reasons. But I think that it's just so important for us to have this space to, touch base with everyone and go, okay, I'm feeling good, I'm feeling bad, feeling whatever. And as I said in the beginning, I've got a little bit of a fun cold here. So I apologize. My throat's a little bit not the best. Okay. It seems like everyone is feeling about the same as I am right now. So I'm so glad that everyone showed up for themselves and for the community today. So I'm going to shout out some of these comments right here. So besides Crystal, who shares that she's feeling super anxious right now, we've got Rick, who says he doesn't know where to start. You're glad the holidays are over. I agree. I feel the same. Cindy is saying that they feel stressed and anxious. Brittany says the overthinking is getting me. I don't know how to shut my mind off on things. One of the big things that I struggle with. Jason is saying, I feel extremely depressed, overwhelmed, beaten up. Annette shares that they feel depressed and lonely. And Allie is sharing that they feel extremely overwhelmed and frustrated. And then we've got Kelly also sharing that they are dealing with family difficulties. Eldest daughter has anorexia and high anxiety. Her dad doesn't get it and makes things so much worse. Okay. First of all, thank you everyone for showing up today, for yourself and for me and for this community. I think that we are here together now, and this is what, this is sometimes all we can do is show up. So, you showed up today, and that's incredible. And I think if everyone wants to take 3 deep breaths with me, and then we'll start this conversation, because I think that everyone, myself included, kind of needs that. So we're going to do 3 breaths in through our nose and out through our mouth. The reason that you do in through your nose and out through your mouth, besides the fact that this circular breathing is very helpful for our mental health and just like our mind set, is that your nose actually acts like a filter, and the little nose hairs that are in there act like a filter, and actually allow toxins that are in the air to kind of get filtered out by those little nose hairs. So in through our nose, out through our mouth. Let's do this 3 times. Again. And one more time. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for doing that with me. I needed it as well. Okay, so man, I have to tell you guys, I'm feeling kind of scattered today, and it's hard. Let's see who shared this before. Brittany, that you don't know how to shut your mind off on things. I am certainly feeling that right now, and I think that I'm like, my mind is like half in another place, and so I'm trying to just be here with you all. I'll start out with this. So I have a podcast, if you all aren't aware of that. It drops on Mondays, so today's dropped today, and you can find it here. It's called More Than You See. You can find it on all podcasting platforms. I will also put this in the chat, so you can just click on the link, and I'm going to do that right now, and I'll just put this ticker up, and then we're just going to go right there. So if you click on that link, you can find my podcast, and the podcast episode that I released today, I think, is potentially really helpful, because what I talked about on today's episode is completely revolutionary mental health treatments. And there's so much that is changing and happening all of the time when it comes to mental health treatments. And I think it's really freaking cool, some of the treatments that are out there. And that's one of the things that I discuss on today's episode. So I talk about neurotherapy. I talk about just, the general therapy is actually called cognitive behavioral therapy. So I discuss that. I talk about TMS, which is transcranial magnetic stimulation. There we go. It's a big one there. And if you are interested in like new innovative ways that mental health is changing and mental health treatments are changing, I strongly encourage you to check out that podcast episode, because I learned a whole lot. And I also share a story from one of my regular listeners who wrote in and shared their experience with TMS, which I think is really fascinating. And since I posted that episode, I've actually had several people who've gone on and shared their that TMS has helped them as well. So if anyone has had experience with TMS before, then please let us know in the comments, because I think that it's so cool to learn about all of these different kinds of mental health therapies. And I think that it, at least for me, makes me feel like there's always another solution. Like there's always something else out there that is going to that just shows that we're always changing and evolving, and there's so many new things out there that potentially will help our mental state, which I think is really cool. And Trisha shares that she has tried TMS. Kelly, yes. Kelly just asked, can you access this after the session? Yes. This is posted on Facebook and on YouTube. You can always go back in and rewatch it in the future. And so yes, absolutely, Kelly, enjoy work, and we will be here. I will be here later, and definitely check out the podcast, because that's a great way to follow me, as well as I do have a very active Instagram, and so I'm going to post that as well in the comments. And so here we go. So if you guys want to connect with me on Instagram, I run the Instagram, I run our TikTok and everything. And so I always post more things there. So I strongly encourage you to check it out. Trisha shares once again about TMS, that it was wonderful. You're actually thinking about going back to it. For anyone who has never tried TMS or doesn't know what TMS is, and this is all stuff that I learned for this podcast episode that released today. Basically what TMS is it is basically a doctor will map your brain, and then a machine will be put on your brain that sends magnetic pulses into specific areas of your brain, and it encourages your brain to reconnect the wiring system in the brain. And so it kind of allows the brain to work in a more optimal frame of mind, and it allows your brain to reconnect pathways that may have been disrupted. So your prefrontal cortex, so like the front of your brain, it basically is stimulating the front of your brain, and then stimulating other parts of your brain where your emotions are held. And so it's kind of reconnecting the pathways between like your thinking brain and like what you're actually seeing and perceiving, and then how you're feeling about it. And it just allows that, it just allows your brain to like work in a more optimal manner. And interestingly, so I see that someone down here says, Michelle shares that you tried TMS and you had no benefit. And so, and I've got Joanna asks if it's FDA approved. It was FDA approved in 2005. And so yes, it is. And it was, I think, so in the research that I done, and as I say on the podcast many times, and as I will say here, I am not a licensed practitioner. I am just relaying information that I have read online. And so I can't give specific medical advice because, again, I'm not a licensed practitioner. But from what I read, basically, there was a lot of research that was done in the 1990s, and that's when TMS became more prevalent, and it's being used more and more now. And the interesting thing is that oftentimes with people who are doing medicine, who have like different medication, the TMS will actually like help supplement, like, so it's not something where it's like you only do medication or you only do TMS. You do them together, and they just like help each other, which is really quite cool. My podcast is called More Than You See, and you can find it on all podcasting platforms. Melissa just asked. Thank you for asking, Melissa. And I know you are a regular, so I'm so glad that you have tuned in. I really appreciate it. And then I've got another person who asked, what is my TikTok? So the TikTok is actually my personal TikTok, but I'll find the link and I'll put it in the chat here as well, so you guys can follow it. Here we go. Okay. It's hard to do multiple things at one time, as I'm sure you guys are aware. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Here is my TikTok. I hope that works. Okay. Okay, so going back to TMS. So TMS, as I share on the podcast, it is covered by a lot of insurance. I see Joanna asked about whether or not it's covered by insurance. It is covered by a lot of insurance. It is FDA approved. Talk to your therapist about it. It's specifically helpful for people with anxiety and depression where medicine is not helping anymore, or medicine is not helping in the way that it helped before. And so that's this idea that that the TMS will actually supplement it and make it work in a better way, because basically, again, what it's doing is stimulating different parts of your brain and allowing your brain to reconnect the neural pathways and make it work better. And I've got someone who asks whether or not it is, I assume, offered in the United States or in the UK and Europe. I would assume so. I mean, it was actually approved in Canada first, and then it was approved in the US in 2005. And so I am sure that TMS is something that is available everywhere. And again, this is something that like what it stands for is transcranial magnetic stimulation. And as I share on the podcast, and again, the podcast is called More Than You See. You can find it anywhere if you click, if you just search More Than You See. And I share on the episode someone's personal experience with TMS, and I hope that is helpful for everyone. Oh my goodness, guys. My brain today, as I said, I am recovering from a cold, and I feel like my brain is very loopy. Is it available in the UK? I don't know. As I said, I'm not aware, but I would very much assume so. I would be very shocked if it was not. So I strongly encourage you to check it out and ask a licensed practitioner, ask your therapist if that is something that you potentially would be a candidate for, because you never know. Okay, let's go back to, we had a lot of people at the beginning of this session talk about anxiety and everything that is going on right now. And I feel like coming off of the holidays is difficult for everyone. I know that myself, as I shared on the top of the episode, like the holidays were definitely stressful, and it was just a lot. The holidays really made me very anxious. And in fact, I was supposed to do a live on December 27th, and I wasn't able to do it, mostly because I was just not in a good mental state for it. It was just the holidays were a lot. And so I completely understand that right now is difficult, because I think we're all kind of coming off of these post-holiday feelings. So I'm curious how everyone else's holidays were. And I think that the main thing that's important to remember, and last week, I actually talked about this idea of the whole like new year, new me thing, and how damaging I think that idea is, because we are so perfect as we are. And I think that this idea that we need to like change ourselves to be better or whatever is not helpful. And in fact, I was talking to a friend last night, and we were talking about this idea of changing habits, and how his therapist said to him that it's not about the change in the habit, it's about focusing on how that change in the habit makes you feel. And so I think that like as we go into this new year, if there's habits that just make you feel better, those are things to focus on, instead of thinking that this like whole new year, new me thing. And I think that this is where the holidays can be really stressful, because people feel that they are, that they need to like improve themselves because of this interaction with the family. And I have certainly felt that before. And so I just want to say that no matter how you are feeling after coming through the holidays, we all made it. We all made it through the holidays. We are here now. We don't have to go through that holiday situation now for another 12 months, which is freaking great. And I am just so proud of everyone for getting through it. And yeah, and I'm so glad that everyone is here today with that. We've got some people who've shared their experiences, so thank you so much. So Dean says, I started getting some major physical symptoms like hand and feet being cold and hot, being hot and cold flashes, and I get the shakes sometimes. It feels like your whole body is cramping up. They've done blood tests and they said 100% it's related to anxiety and depression. Does anyone else feel like they're dying sometimes? Dean, I have a story for you. Yes, this exact thing has happened to me, Dean. So after I went to Berkeley for my undergrad, I moved to Australia, and I lived in Australia for 6 years. And for 4 of those years, I was actually working in construction. Again, I'm an actor, and this was not my area of expertise, but I was doing it because of my partner at the time. And about 3 years into working in construction, I had that experience, Dean, where I had hot and cold feelings. My entire body would be numb. I'd have in severe brain fog, like all sorts of crazy things. I went to so many doctors. They thought that I had early onset MS. They thought so many different things, but blood tests and all of these tests never showed anything conclusive. And it wasn't until years later that I was reading a book where someone was describing panic attacks, and every single thing that they were discussing were how I was feeling in that time. So Dean, I don't know if you're still listening, but I have 100% been there before, and it was because I was severely depressed and was having panic attacks because of my current situation, because of what I was doing, my vocation at the time, who I was surrounding myself with. Like, there was a lot of different factors. And so I don't know, Dean, if you can evaluate some different aspects, because, as I've stated many times on this, on these lives, there's a lot of different things that comprise our mental health, and a big part of it is our environment, and that is both who we surround ourselves with, but also our physical environment. And so I don't know if there is some aspects of that you can potentially change that might help you feel better. So definitely let me know if that is something that resonates with you. Yes. Okay, great. So we've got more people. Thank you so much for everyone for joining us. Vicky is one of my regulars. Vicky, what is the topic today? Today we're really we're talking about mental health treatments, because that is what my podcast episode was on today. But we're also just doing a post-holiday check-in with everyone, because we got through the holidays, y'all. So that's incredible. And Vicky, I'm so glad that you are feeling better, and I'm so glad that you joined us today. We had one person who Joy asked, is it legal to do TMS for truck drivers? Does it make you feel sleepy? And Trisha shared, it does not, that she drove herself to and from sessions. And yeah, I mean, there really isn't supposed to be any negative side effects to it. Again, I'm not a practitioner in any capacity, but from what I've read, that's the case. Sarah, thank you so much for sharing. Sarah shares, I live with schizophrenia, and the stress of the holidays made your symptoms worse, and I had to get a med increase. Doing better now. Sarah, thank you, first of all, for showing up and sharing this. And I'm so glad that you have the ability to go and talk to your therapist and get that med increase, and that you have that self-awareness that your surroundings and the current environment and the current situation was making your symptoms worse. I think something that I share all the time is that we are in control of our mental health. We really are. just like our physical health. And it's just so important to advocate for ourselves and show up for ourselves, because no one else can completely understand how we're feeling, and it's no one else's responsibility, really. Like it really is. It's so important to, show up for ourselves. So good on you for seeking help in that. Rick shares book on this post-holiday check-in. So glad to be back. Your holidays you had lack of family, zero family. I hope that was a good thing for you, Rick. I mean, I think that it's really important to recognize when our family does not make us feel good, and then put up some new boundaries with that. Richard shares, at the moment you're fine, but COVID positive, hopefully test negative soon. You live in a complex with 3 people who have COVID and you're hoping not to catch it again. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, LA is overrun with COVID right now. So it's definitely, it's difficult, and it's anxiety provoking. Like talk about an increase in anxiety. It really is anxious, and it really causes a lot of anxiety. And it's like, what can you really do in these situations sometimes? Okay, going back to this whole idea of new year, new me, and how I think that's BS. Jason shares, there's no new year, new you. Just because the date changed doesn't mean you stop having mental health issues. Your depression didn't stop. Your anxiety didn't go away. Your PTSD doesn't stop. It's the same problems. Yes, agreed. Nothing is fixed, but I think that that's where it's really like, I think that the one positive aspect of this idea of like a new year is that we can really kind of take stock of ourselves and think about how we have evolved over this past year. And that could be in a way that we like, and it could be in a way that we maybe think that isn't supporting us so well. Like, I think that it's perfectly okay to, oh my goodness, you need to see this. Look at my dog. My dog is sitting next to me, and he is just so cute. Oh, you can't come. There we go. This is Phineas, everyone. Okay, sorry. He is just so adorable. I just had to share. Yeah, I think that it's really important to do those like check-ins with ourselves. And this could be something that we did on a monthly basis. I agree, it doesn't have to be bound to a date. I do think though that there is some value in going, where how have I changed? How have I evolved? And how do I want to continue to evolve in the future? So there we go. Laura shares that you and your chosen family spent time together on Zoom. You have no contact with your mom's side of the family, and it's the best thing you ever did for yourself. Oh, Laura, I love that. I'm so glad that you have put up those boundaries. It's interesting because I was talking to my therapist last week about boundaries when it comes to family, and she was sharing, because I was saying that like I feel like I'm not necessarily good at building boundaries with people. And she shared that she thinks Finn wants to come say hi, everyone. She shared that it's not that I don't have boundaries with my family. It's that my family is not good at respecting my boundaries in some ways. And I think that that's very true. So I don't know if that's something that helps everyone. And Finn is just up in this today. Yes. So yeah. Okay. So many amazing comments here. Yeah. So we've had, hello, Finn. Sorry. Okay. So we've had a couple people who've shared that, they thought that they had COVID for a few times, but it was actually anxiety attacks. That was actually what happened to me early on in this. I definitely thought that I had COVID for a couple weeks, and I'm pretty sure that it was just an anxiety attack. And I think that it's just it just shows how the mind-body connection is so strong, and it's just so important to connect with ourselves and understand that how we show up in the world, like our body and our mind are so completely connected. Yes. Okay. So many things. So many things. Okay, Finn. Thank you. Yes. Okay. Thank you so much for this wonderful comment. Romaine shares, you're happy to see how you introduce yourself and share a deeper heart with mental illness. You support 100% those who take time to support the treatment. Yeah, I mean, listen, if you guys have never, if this is your first time with me, I am like a huge advocate for mental health. If you go to my Instagram, you can find my podcast. And if you listen to my first episode, in the first episode, I really share why I created this podcast and why I created More Than You See, which is also a mental health organization. And the reason was because I went through really difficult times. And I think that as an actor and a filmmaker, I often have a platform to speak to the world. And I think that it's so important that we show up to do good and to bring awareness and a voice to the people who may not have a voice. And so I feel like because I do suffer from, depression and anxiety as well, it's so important for me to use my voice in order to bring more awareness to it, because I think only as we bring more awareness and more education around mental health will things really start to change. And I'm just so glad that I have this community to chat with everyone about. Okay. This is interesting. Richard shares, and again, you all, my goodness, my brain today is really just not 100% there. So I so appreciate you all being here with me as we navigate this second week of 2022. Okay. Richard shares, I learned guided self-help and can now check and lower your anxiety, although on sertraline, but you're weaned off of it and you're going to get gym and exercise. Oh, cool. In the new year. Yeah, that's really awesome. I mean, I think that, again, it's so, so key for us to know, to be able to check in with ourselves and know what works for us and potentially what will, help us in the future. Like, I think that it's so important. I know personally that even right now when I have a cold, it's so important for me to continue to exercise, because if I don't, I'm going to feel even worse. And so I think that it's so important to know those things about ourselves and really stick to how to how we're feeling and to know what makes us feel better in some situations, etc. Oh, yes. Okay. Joanna, thank you for sharing this. So Joanna shares that you got stuck with the same lousy therapist for years because you couldn't speak up for yourself. I mean, again, this goes back to what I said before, and the fact that it's just so incredibly important to advocate for ourselves, because you can only find a good person who's going to be a good fit when you are able to, number one, have self-awareness to know what works for you and what doesn't, but also then, to have the ability to speak up for yourself. So congratulations, Joanna, for working through that. And I hope you have a therapist now who supports you a lot better. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So we've had a couple people who are sharing about how crazy Omicron is right now. Yep. Completely agree. It's causing a lot of anxiety. Yes, I completely, I'm here with you. Santiago shares, sometimes you have to make your own diagnosis with what the doctors say, and you read and investigate why you feel. For years, my shrink didn't give me any certain diagnosis at all till I got to the conclusion I have depression, which my psychiatrist validated. And now I know what to tackle or learn to live with. It's, of course. So yes, doctors are certainly necessary. Absolutely. That's 100% the case. But I do think that a lot of times, I mean, doctors, number one, they only see us for a very short period of time. That includes therapists. Therapists only see us for a very short period of time. So it's so important for us to have self-awareness and know what works for us and what doesn't, as well as know, like what is working for us and what isn't working, and potentially what we need to seek out better and different in the future, and then hopefully find that. I think that that's definitely something that is, super, super important. And I am so proud of everyone who is learning to advocate for themselves. And then I have all sorts of wonderful comments. Thank you so much, Jason. Jason is one of my regulars, and I'm so glad that you look forward to the podcast. And let's see. Oh, Lewis, thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I think that anxiety and depression, and this is something I talk about in my first episode. I think that everyone experiences anxiety and depression in life. I would say that that's true. It doesn't matter if you are the happiest person in the world and everything goes well for you or whatever. I think everyone on this planet has experienced anxiety and depression. I think that the difference is between everyone and people that really suffer from different mental health disorders is that sometimes it is stronger, more controlling, and comes on without explanation. Or I think that there's just like there's other aspects of mental health disorders that a lot of people in this community have experienced, and that's why I think that it's so important to vocalize that and to, again, have that self-awareness to be like, I understand that I'm not just feeling sad, that there's something else that's going on, and to be able to state that and then try and work through it and find some kind of way to work through the symptoms, because it's not about curing. It's not about, like I have had people before ask me if I've been like cured. And that's, I think that mental health is a lifelong journey, and we all have ups and downs. And it's really about being able to monitor ourselves and, again, advocate for ourselves and show up for ourselves and the people around us in the best possible way. So yeah. And like, this is, Richard shares, I'm so in tune with my body, 100% know when it's anxiety and panic or depression and when it isn't. Yeah, definitely. Hi, Finn. I definitely agree that I think that it takes a lot of time for us to be able to, figure out our different levels when it comes to anxiety and depression, and be able to cite those and like call ourselves out in some capacity. Yes. Thank you, Santiago. Yes, you need to learn to advocate for yourself. It's hard, but really necessary. And I had Michelle shares, if that you didn't advocate for yourself, you would have died. I mean, I think that, yeah, I think that it's, I don't know if you want to share more about that, Michelle. But it's, I think that that's but whether or not it was a medical condition that you advocated for yourself, or an emotional, mental health condition where you advocated for yourself, both of those things can be equally dangerous. I share quite openly on the podcast that when I was going through my, really deep depression, I wasn't suicidal in that I was like planning something, but I was in such a dark place that was at least something that was on my mind. And I think that that's something that, like, so many people experience feelings of suicide and do not talk about it. And I think that it's so important for us to air that out as well, and to say like, hey, I was feeling like I didn't know what my purpose was in the world. I didn't know how to show up for myself or others. And it wasn't until I was able to advocate for myself and go and seek the help that I needed, that helped me get through that and helped me get out of that. And it really was a self-awareness of like, oh crap, I'm feeling like this. This is a problem. I need to now seek help. And I know that that's a really difficult thing to do, but it's just so incredibly important. So thank you, Michelle, for speaking up for that. I think that's really, really amazing. We have a question, which I love. And we've got, my goodness, Gaelic? Is that how you say your name? Gaelic has been mentioning several times dissociation. And you suffer from dissociation severely. You don't think a lot of people know about it, but it's crippling for anxiety. And then she shares, when I dissociate, I have an overwhelming feeling to commit suicide or die by suicide. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think that this is something that is not necessarily discussed. Of course, there's always so much, help out there, both in the US and around the world, if you are feeling that, darkness. But I think that the more that, just like mental health, the more that we talk about it, the more that we voice that this is truly something that is a condition, and it is treatable just like any other kind of mental health disorder. And it's really, again, about like advocating for ourselves, advocating for people around us. And I have posted, I believe I have a podcast episode that was specifically about suicide, and I have also done a live on here before this specifically about suicide. And I think that, again, this is something that we don't talk about enough. So thank you for sharing that. And I've got another story here. Joanna shares that you survived a suicide attempt just over 10 years ago. Joanna, I'm so glad that you are here with us, and that you are still, thriving in this beautiful world, because honestly, sometimes all we can do is show up for ourselves and just like live another day. And so I'm so glad that you are here in this community, because, you're important. We all are so important. And I think that sometimes that's hard to remember, but it's completely true. Okay, we've got a couple more things. So here we go. So Richard asks, do you think it can be caused due to people have far too expectations you can cause bad mental health? So basically you're asking, can high expectations cause bad mental health? Yeah, I think so. Personally, I think so. I think that it's so that we need to, again, have that self-awareness about like where we are, what is a reasonable goal for ourselves. Laura shares, set kinder goals for yourself, 100%. Also share, like, I think that goals and dreams are sometimes confused, and people, if they aren't necessarily like achieving this dream that they want to achieve, and I mean, myself as an actor and a filmmaker, I certainly experience this. And I think that it's so important to make smaller, kinder goals for yourself, make tiny little habitual changes in your life that help you achieve big goals, that help you achieve dreams. But I think it's also just so important to just show up for yourself as you are right now, and just be like, how am I feeling right now? Who am I right now? And that's all that I can really do, like, I know for myself, because I'm feeling really under the weather this week, I am just my only goals for myself this week, as far as my career, is because I have a job. So I'm continuing to do my job as best as I can. But as far as my career and my goals, I am committing to just doing 1 hour a day on something creative. That's my only goal for myself this week. And I think that it's, it's really important to, set some tiny little goals that that you can, achieve. I don't know if people create task lists, but something that I certainly do if I'm, want to stay on task when it comes to my day is that I will write down even the smallest tasks. Like I'll write down, drink a glass of water, clean the coffee pot, whatever. Even just tiny little things that I know that I'm going to do throughout my day. If I'm feeling like I'm lacking drive and confidence to, like get through my goals in some capacity, I'll just write down small little things and use that as a way to kind of catapult myself. Richard shares, I set one third easy goal, middle goals, and 1/4 gigantic goals. Yeah, I mean, I do think that it's so important to, sure, set big goals for yourself, but also just be kind to yourself. Check in with yourself about how you are feeling right now and whether or not this goal is going to serve you right now. And if it's not, it's perfectly okay. Like, our happiness and mental health is more important than any other goal, hands down. And so, I think that that's just a really important thing to remember. And Joanna, I love this. Dreams are vague, goals are more tangible. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that it's important to have dreams. It's important to have, big ideas around things, but it's also super important to just have little tiny things that we know that we can achieve. Oh my goodness, my foot is asleep. Okay, cool. Yes. Okay. We've got another question from Richard. Richard says, does getting an incredible role sometimes help me with my mental health? Great question, Richard. I mean, I have certainly played characters before that have helped me heal struggles that I am going through, because I certainly like feel very deeply when it comes to my characters when I inhabit them. And sometimes I feel like the writer has given me the capacity to experience something that I wouldn't necessarily have experienced by myself or been able to put words to. And so I do think that it is really amazing when I'm able to like bring some of myself into a character. And so in that capacity, it does help me with my mental health for sure. So yeah, that's a great question, Richard. Jason shares, it's hard to set and achieve your goals when you don't exactly have the support system in your life. Yeah, I completely understand that, Jason. And I think that unfortunately that is the case for a lot of us. And a lot of, that we don't have the support system that we maybe need, and that sometimes we have to be our own support system, which is really freaking hard. But that is why that is why we have this mighty community. That is why I have More Than You See. That is why you have, me and other mental health advocates and other advocates in the world that are, an additional support system. And I think that, like, as damaging as social media can be in the world in some capacity, there's also a real benefit in the fact that we're able to show up and connect with people around the world and support each other. So like I'm a support system for all of you guys, in that I believe in you and appreciate you all so much and just love having this community to connect with. I'm going to put up a couple links one more time, just so you guys can make sure that you did not miss anything. And then we are going to wrap up. So again, here is my podcast. If you are at all interested in listening, I think they're very short little episodes, like 20 minutes or less, 25 minutes or less. And I think that there's some really incredible topics on there. So I strongly encourage you to check it out. There's let's see, 12, 24. There is like 32 episodes right now up. So go and check them out and let me know what you think. And the best way to connect with me is on More Than You See's Instagram. So here is More Than You See's Instagram. It also is linked to my personal Instagram, which you are welcome to follow along on my acting, filmmaking stuff. If you follow me there, you'll see all sorts of fun acting stuff there. Michelle, thank you so much for saying that. I really appreciate you being here today, and I really appreciate everyone showing up for themselves today. You're definitely not alone, and I just feel that the more that we advocate for ourselves, the more that I try and like give voice to my own mental health struggles and share everyone else's mental health struggles with the world. I think it's just like so incredibly important and valuable for us to have a voice and say like, hey, I'm struggling, and that's okay. I think that's, really, really important. PJ shares, peace of mind is your goal wherever I can to get through another day. Having a child keeps you alive. Sometimes we're our own support system. Our job is to get through the day, and when today is too hard, you go to bed and wait until tomorrow. PJ, that's incredible, and I completely agree. I think that is so that takes such self-awareness. I hope you know that. Like, that takes such self-awareness to know that today is not going the way that we want, and that's okay. It's just one day, and tomorrow is a new day. And even if tomorrow is not a good day either, that's okay, because we still have a next day. And this is where, just continuing to show up for ourselves, continuing to advocate for ourselves, and just be our own mental health warriors, because that's really all we can do. And a couple more. So thank you, PJ. I'm so grateful for that. And a couple more things here. So we've got your goals aren't just about you being mega successful and secure. It's also about people of disability and other autistic people. It's about serving. Absolutely. I mean, I talk in the podcast about the importance of having a purpose when it comes to your life. And I think that that's where this comes in, like the importance of yes, having a voice and serving others, but also make sure to serve yourself and focus on that, self-love and self-happiness. Santiago, thank you so much for being here. I super appreciate it. Chris, you are another one of my regulars. Love and respect you guys. By the way, I do these every other week. So my next one will be let's see. I can't do math right now. The 24th. My next one will be Monday, January 24th at 1 p.m. right here. So please, check it out. Dana, thank you so much for being here. I show up because you guys show up. So I appreciate it. And Finn appreciates it too, my dog here. Vicky says, thanks again for your live talk. Sometimes I'm the only therapy you have, so you're so glad to see me. Thank you so much, Vicky. I truly appreciate it. And, as I said, you guys give me just as much happiness and strength and love as I give you. So this is a mutually beneficial situation here. And hopefully in 2 weeks, I will feel 100% better and not be sick. So yes, everyone, thank you so much for being here, and be kind to yourself over the next 2 weeks. And I will see you on the interwebs. Oh, Romaine, you've got a really wonderful comment right here. I don't want to end without shouting this out. Yes. The importance of speaking in communities where mental illness is not discussed is truly important. I know that we've got another person here who also speaks about how mental health is just not something that is discussed in our country. And I think that this is why it's important for people with public platforms like myself that I'm, continuing to grow and evolve my career, or as I continue to grow and evolve my career as an actor and a filmmaker, it's so important for me to continue to speak about my mental health journey. That way, there can be change in places where mental illness is considered witchcraft. I think that that is the only way that we can make change, is to continue to have public figures speak around these things. So I hope that through my voice and through, the voice of my peers and the work that I do, I can continue to bring awareness and change in parts of the world that maybe don't have awareness about mental health. So on that note, I want to thank you all again for being here today, and I really look forward to chatting with you guys in 2 weeks. Thank you so much. Bye.